Supreme Rice. Since the 1930s, supporting Louisiana farmers and communities throughout Louisiana. To find out more, go to supremerice.com. Live at lunch.
You are looking live.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
What the hell's going on out here?
Now, here's Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Is it live? Is it live? Is it live? Is it live?
From Doe's Eat Place on Government Street here in Mid-City, welcome to the Tuesday edition of Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Hannegriff along with Jimmy Ott, Max Gotro. Good to be with you here today. Took the day off yesterday. I'll tell you a little bit about the ceremony and the facility yesterday that we were able to visit and open actually yesterday when we get to first class, second class, no class. And believe me, they'll be in the first class version of that when we talk in the second hour. Andy Isco with us at the bottom of the hour. And Jimmy, how you doing?
Good, man.
Yeah, the transfer portal continues to churn. I guess everybody today is monitoring Sam Leavitt with Brendan Sorsby on his way to Texas Tech. LSU's turned their attention to Sam Leavitt. And this is not a new name. Leavitt basically, for all intents and purposes, put himself in the portal in November. He had an injury that was going to take him out the rest of the year, and it's a foot injury. We've talked about that. Was he the first choice of a lot of schools, including LSU? I would say he was very high up the list. Was he number one on LSU's list? Sorsby probably was because there was no injury. But Leavitt's got 2 years left of eligibility, so you can weigh that against it. Jimmy, we talked an awful lot about this, but before we get – and I suspect we'll have some clarity on Sam Leavitt today, maybe even before we get off the air. Who knows? But we're talking about a really talented kid that would fit everything that Lane Kiffin does offensively. And if he's healthy, he's as good as anybody out there. The question would remain, how healthy is he going to be once August camp starts, because we know he's going to be limited in the time leading up to that.
He's a mobile guy, and they're going to rush. They're going to run the football. And just to give you an idea, he rushed it. Charlie, what do we say about Lane Kiffin quarterbacks? Good. What you can, when it's all said and done, what they're going to average rushing the football per game?
10 rushes a game?
Right around 10. He is between 10 and 11 rushes this season per game.
Yeah.
I mean, he can move. He's got a foot injury. He's definitely out of, your spring practice type of drills, working with your new receivers, so that has probably knocked them down just a notch or two. But and Sorsby can really run. Both of them can run. But Sorsby has no injuries, but he only has 1 year. But whether it's Matt Corral, whether it's Jackson Dart, whether it's Trinidad Chambliss, whether it's Austin Simmons, or these guys, he going to run them 10 times a game. It's part of his deal. Now, Chambliss is, I don't know if you're really paying attention to that trend, but his rushing attempts per game, like the first half starts, in the second half, he's almost cut them in half. He's throwing the ball a lot more, running it a little less. And whatever reason, even Dellinger's piece, they talked about him being labeled as a runner at some point for some reason. It's farthest from the truth, and we talked about that when we're the conversations leading into the LSU game, who was going to start between those two guys. But the big players, and we talked about it, Texas Tech is no surprise. They got their clock cleaned way worse than I thought was possible down in Miami. And how did they respond? They guns a-blazing. Throw some little extra we got money to burn. Take out a Times Square video ad as well to kind of, spread your feathers a little bit. And Indiana is excited. It's always more exciting on the ride up, the ascend, and they got the largest living alumni base, and they're giving. And those are the two teams that are out the gates the strongest. No SEC team. Those two teams are out there the strongest. It doesn't matter how you're strong. And listen, when this time last year when you picked up Kewan Lacey in Oxford with 24 carries for the season. Right. Who knew? When you picked up Chambliss, who knew? And I get that. And Kiffin's going to be evaluated, but maybe some of the guys coming from Ole Miss, maybe limited, their run is helping them through this because how much is true and how much is not. It's just a matter of a percentage, but we can move forward without Kiffin is kind of a big deal. And some kids are caught up in emotion and also, like they're starting to trickle, this guy, starting to kind of recommit back to the Rebels. And so, that makes it a little bit harder. Cignetti is the blueprint. A big part of his success was those guys he took from James Madison. A big part to be immediate, competitive immediately. So, LSU's got the budget. They'll do fine. But who's next? You going to try and wait for this Chambliss deal to come through?
No.
Can't do that.
No.
You can't do that.
I believe that they will secure Sam Levitt today. That's my belief. Now, things could always go sideways, but they got him here.
Where else is he scheduled to go?
Well, Kentucky's always been kind of in the back. The coach at Oregon is now the coach at Kentucky. Levitt's from Oregon. They know each other. Okay, that was the link there.
Okay,
I get. Well, you asked me why. Would he consider they have a prior?
That's one thing to be out there about Texas Tech these days, Charlie. Kentucky's a different story.
Well, if he ends up at Kentucky, yeah, it'll be a big deal.
Okay? I'm sorry. That doesn't shock me. That you got beat by Texas Tech in a transfer portal. That doesn't shock me.
You know what Texas Tech reminds me of right now?
Kentucky does.
Well, no. What Texas Tech's program reminds me of last year and especially this year, we call it new money. They remind me of what Oregon was doing 20 years ago. Okay, when that influx of Nike money came before the transfer portal and all that, they are now a player.
They were the first ones with like fingerprint access to these ridiculous. They were the first one with the ops building and all this. So it was just
the locker room that didn't stink. Remember that one?
No, that was no. So that what can we do? I mean, just a little. Just make the player experience. So, okay, in that time, that era, it was like we're going to go spend 4 years here. Okay, do you want to go spend 4 years at the Howard Johnson's or the Ritz-Carlton? Yeah. I mean, it's just so, and they made it as elaborate as it possibly could. He's a track guy. They got the nicest track facility in the country. They hold the championships there. It's not a convenient trip. But, and then now what they do also, man, they fly me. They're flying me first class. No, they're flying you private to the Oregon official visit. So that they done. Oh, absolutely. That's a great.
And that was when the facilities were the most important thing. I got to chuckle out of the. I forgot where the report was. Well, Sorsby was really impressed with Texas Tech's facilities. Stop it, okay? And I will admit I have never set foot in Lubbock, Texas, ever in my life. And I'm sure Texas Tech has a fabulous facility. It can't possibly be that much better than the one down the street here that they just opened.
It's not.
Okay. If the money were different, I'm sure you'd be – just call it what it is. It's fine.
Charlie,
okay?
but you want your kid to say, yeah, man, they gave me more money.
And he didn't even say – it wasn't even – it wasn't even a quote. It was the reporting of it. He's really impressed with the Phillies. Stop, okay? It's not 2015 anymore. It's okay to say, I took the most money. It's okay. It's legal.
All I got to go is go through here and not see roaches. Okay,
Yeah, right. If there's not asbestos coming out of the walls, we're fine.
But we can't hate the game. When there's a guy that comes through here that's going to be saying he's like the facilities. That may have come from Texas A&M when they got when they got two of them. To our one.
There will be people that LSU outbid.
Yes.
Bids for people. And look, it's been slow out of the gate. I get it. Okay. I think a lot of people, and I'll perfectly admit, I thought that they would come out of the gate a little faster than this. Okay, they haven't. It's quite early. There's 4,000 plus kids in the transfer portal, and a very small percentage of them have signed. So let's just patience, of course.
How much is his name being stained a little bit?
Well, that was before he even got here. I mean, yes, sure. There's some, but didn't he go to Ole Miss with that too? Didn't he?
Not like this, Charlie.
This
thing has gotten a lot of publicity.
Do you think any kid?
I'm sorry, for us not to. I mean,
no,
I'm acknowledging if we're trying to throw darts at the board here to try and theorize the slow start. He come on, man. We wear the black hat. I mean, we know that
he is the number one villain in college football.
Okay. I mean, people, but man, I'm pulling for Ole Miss. Man, I'm pulling for Ole Miss. Yeah. It's screw Kiffin. I mean, people don't even pay attention to college football.
Now, never mind the fact that LSU's coaches have been moonlighting for better than a month now and continue to do that.
And that's painted one side.
Right.
Nobody wants to hear the other side.
Right.
Like, damn, part of the reason we might not be here is that guys. I mean, you have a standard for one guy who is so strong, and you want to stick behind. We're policy driven here, but no, you're gonna totally have a different standard for the assistants. Man, it is what it is, and I'm a little tired of playing fair or playing nice, so to speak, because as Brian Kelly would tell you, when it comes to recruiting. When it comes to transfer portal, when it comes to tampering, when it comes to exceeding your whatever, bogus NIL, whatever, ain't no crying in recruiting. The grease is hot, no whining, get it done. The people that whine, they'd found another job.
Yeah,
and this guy has gotten it done.
And Pete Golding is playing to his audience over there. When he says,
that's okay.
Hey, keep playing it, keep blowing up, making it a big deal. It'd be great. Our guys know what to do. We don't care about these other guys. Okay, fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead.
But you know what? Golding is, his dad was a coach. He's comfortable on the sideline. He made he had a little clunky game management the other night, but, he also knew that it was important for him to get those assistants over there.
Yeah.
Okay. He's been around football long enough to know that.
Right.
Okay. But hey, Notre Dame was very jilted. They were jilted to lose Brian Kelly.
Right.
They were. How dare you leave Notre Dame for LSU? And so they rallied, and they gave from the administration to the boosters. They rallied and gave the new coach everything that Kelly was kind of requesting or asking for and everything. And so they're all in. Their roster has improved. They're in a better situation. But Kelly was most responsible for getting to them that spot. This little stretch of Notre Dame history. They are getting it done without Kelly in the playoff. Mike Plaquemine could have coached against Tulane, okay? Let's face it. They're rolling past him. That was an inferior opposition. This was a different story. To overcome adversity, to outgain them, to stop them third down 9 times, that Ole Miss defense, to stop Georgia 9 times.
You just said beat Georgia. I mean, you stopped right there.
There's the path made it even more. Now they doubled the crowd. The Ole Miss was going to bring it. It's new for them. It meant more for them. It's a pivotal point for Ole Miss, and they're kind of coming up. And they may rally, and they may be stronger moving forward. Okay? They've won more playoff games. But the guy that's most responsible for them to be in this position is Lane Kiffin, and that's not debatable.
It's really not.
It's not debatable.
It's really not.
And anybody that takes themselves halfway seriously who covers the sport is not going to deny it. But they may improve their situation and re-up their commitment because they're jilted. I mean, Notre Dame did it. Why can't Ole Miss?
No, they will.
But he's the one to rally him initially. He's the Willie Fritz that turned it over to Summerall.
Will Pete Golding be able to sustain that momentum a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line? The early surge. How many times we sit here and talk about Trinidad Chambliss? And I know everybody. If he comes here next year, I never thought Chambliss would come here next year because I thought that Ole Miss would move heaven, earth, and 10 other planets to make sure
for some reason he threw 4 interceptions, they lose to Tulane.
Yeah, they would.
Well, I mean,
I don't. They were not going to lose their quarterback without doing everything possible. The quarterback that got them into the playoffs, the quarterback that did everything for them.
If he throw 5 interceptions against Georgia, I mean, it would just had to be a disaster.
Yes, it would.
A disaster, and we know he's better than that. Well.
Yeah. How unlikely was that?
Well, you didn't tell me the night before Miami Penn State that Vinny was going to throw 5.
I didn't. You didn't tell me that either. I was on the Canes and the fatigues, man. I thought they were going to win.
Well, they should have.
We're here at Doe's Eat Place, Government Street.
I was talking to Scotty Boy over here at Doe's before we came on the air, man. It just wants to let everybody know that came over here during the holiday season. A lot of big not big parties, but just big tables, just extra large tables for, holiday gatherings. And, coming over here and, everybody wants a great meal, wants to, treat themselves to a nice steak, but sometimes they don't want to be in a fancy atmosphere or to feel like they got to get dressed up or something like that. It is a high-quality steak, as good of a steak dinner as you're going to get, and a casual atmosphere. It's just that simple. You start off with the tamales, and you do the hand-cut fries. You do different sides. Great wines over here as well. The mixologists are outstanding. You get one old-fashioned. It's made the same every time that it's mixed over here. So he just wanted to extend his graciousness to the folks that came out here and patronized Doe's during the holiday season because it was a really, really good run. Now, for lunch, as we're here over here, and we had a very strong 2025 lunch run. And it's reason because people are waking up and because after they hand cut those steaks, Charlie, they take the trim-ins and make the hamburger steak for lunch. They make some of the meatballs. The meatballs are one of the hidden secrets in Baton Rouge restaurant scene, man. The meatball po' boy, spaghetti and meatballs, the chicken fried steak. That's the steak that's patted out, and man, it'll hang over the sides of the plate. So we got all kinds of burgers, sandwiches, plate lunches, salads that are available for lunch that aren't on our dinner menu. We will concentrate on steaks and all the sides for dinner. So keep that in mind when you're trying to pick a place to go for lunch. Over at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com and 1045ESPN.com, LouisianaSports.net. And it's brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com, supporting our Louisiana farmers since the 1930s. One more portal note. LSU has signed Boise State defensive back Ty Benefield. He had 105 tackles this past season, and he has signed with LSU. So that is 5 now in the portal incoming.
And I'll take a page out of your book as far as, trying to, it would be an upset if Kiffin, even if he is stained through this process a little bit, he's also opening the doors up a little bit. But LSU had to promise him more of a budget than he had at Ole Miss to leave. And he's been very good at this. Right. He's got a good track record of evaluating talent, bringing them into his system, and having some success.
And I was also reminded that when he took over at Ole Miss, this didn't all happen in the first 3 or 4 days. It was later in the cycle. And the transfer portal is different now than it was in 2020 when he got to Ole Miss. So I don't want to, it is a little bit of a different landscape right now. But he's had this job for over a month. It's not like he hasn't been evaluating and doing. I think the guy knows what the landscape is.
His team, he and his team, yeah.
And yes, I'm very well aware of, there's 30 guys that have gone out and now 5 guys that have gone back in. And, yeah, right now, if LSU had to play a game on Saturday, they don't have a quarterback and they have very few offensive linemen. But they don't play a game on Saturday. So let's let this play out a little bit before, it goes into a full-fledged panic, because I think the guy knows what he's doing. That's my –
No, he's got a track record to prove it.
Yeah, I think he will be just fine.
Now the difference thing is his staff is splintered right now.
And Weiss is going back.
They've been splitting time, and he hasn't. The guys, even when a head coach changes, you have assistants move all the time, but not to this degree.
No, and I can't ever remember one where they were splintered for this long. Can you?
No, you usually.
Anybody that loses their coach usually doesn't go this far.
Well, Charlie, not too far distant past, some coaches would stay on through signing date, and then
that's true. That's true. In fact, that used to be.
We have a different signing date now, though.
Yeah, you're right. That used to be somewhat dirty pool, if you remember. You would have an assistant coach stay on a staff until signing day. Well, they got the kid signed, and then he would leave because he was the lead recruiter on a kid, and it was, like I said, at times I could remember some of those things. It's like, man, you guys have known this guy was gone for a month, but you put on appearances and you kept him around so you could get that kid. Back then, once you got that kid signed, he was locked in. If the assistant coach left, he didn't have any recourse.
Ross Dellinger, who has an interesting perspective on this, has been on this for a lot, and we'll reference his stuff. And he has carved out, especially with the court proceedings and the impact on college football and college athletics. Period. How been really involved in kind of the guy that people that they reference as far as trying to find out information. And he's got an interesting perspective on this whole Kiffin LSU Ole Miss deal, because grew up in Mississippi, went to school in Mississippi, worked the beat of Baton Rouge. Right. So he's got he has covered both sides or been on both sides, and so he was staked out. And you saw at his introductory press conference at LSU, Kiffin has said, hey Ross, good to see you here. So I know you were with him that day as well. So and he and the Chambliss piece, because for a big part of the country, Chambliss had his coming out party. And people are wow. People are just wow, especially because the first 2 games were such duds leading into it, and the primetime game really delivered. And he was the star. I mean, nobody had a quarterfinal round like Trinidad Chambliss, period. Forget the story, just playing his impact on the game. And he talked about, the whole thing, as Ross does. It's a lengthy piece, and it gets to the whole thing. And then he'll say, well, Chambliss's dad doesn't quite see the Kiffin move from Ole Miss to LSU as many of Ole Miss supporters. He kind of compares it to Chambliss moving from Ferris State to Ole Miss. So it was just briefly mentioned, but he's and just it's Ross has had some real interesting pieces on this whole thing. He's a very good writer to begin with because of his knowledge of the historical positioning of these schools. Do
you think? This is just opinion only, because I don't know that we've got any factual basis to this. Do you think he's going to get another year? I
do. I'll take Mars.
Okay, Tom Mars, the famous attorney, well, as far as this stuff is concerned, has filed this thing. They have documented 91 page. I'm going to give you the.
But this is for the NCAA.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got a free swing there before he takes it to court.
Right, and so he says he's going back to Ole Miss, so it's not really about LSU. 91 pages of documentation on a respiratory problem that they say originated from having his tonsils removed.
Yes, because he took a redshirt year, but this would be a medical redshirt.
A medical redshirt year. Now the detractors would tell you he got beat out that year, and he was not gonna play anyway. I have no idea what was going on in Ferris State
did
that
mention
year.
that there's not a whole lot of optimism in Oxford about his case.
Right.
So so it's less than usual. I'll take Mars.
It's if the NCAA rules against him, then you're going to go to court. The NCAA going to court has been like the attorney that went against Perry Mason and lost every week on TV. Okay, dating myself a little bit there, but. Do they want to?
Perry Mason was in black and white, right?
Yes. Okay. I watched the reruns when I was a kid. Perry Mason never lost, right? I think he lost one case in 7 seasons or something. The NCAA's record is kind of like going against Perry Mason in court. They've been getting routed at every turn. Do they want to go to the mat on this kid? Because I'm going to go ahead and say that there's nobody else out there that's got a case quite like his from a lower division school, and this isn't even a knee injury. This is a respiratory.
We talk about it all the time. Some judges have ruled against the NCAA. I mean, for the NCAA, they have ruled against some kids' eligibility.
They have.
We haven't. We kind of we're at fault for saying that they hadn't. When's the last time that
they're not undefeated?
No,
but
Mars is pretty close to undefeated.
He's been really good.
At some point, though, and wonder if the ridiculous, it's hit the ridiculous as far as, the kid from the G League who wants to go sign with Baylor, like, okay, what are we doing here? Does it take to get to that point? It's like, we got to put a stop here somewhere. And somewhere along the line, the judge is going to pay enough attention to college athletics and to say, no, enough's enough. No, Diego, you can't have another one. Oh, but same thing with Diego. He lost out on some NIL opportunities. That's Chambliss's deal here, too.
Yeah.
At Ferris State. So, if Diego was claiming he had lost wages when he's at Las Cruces.
And
this could say that he lost out on NIL opportunities at Ferris State.
And I think that what him agreeing to this deal with Ole Miss, for whatever it is, I don't know how much money it is, now Mars can go to the judge and say, this is not anticipated earnings. This is actual earnings. Ole Miss is willing to bring him back at this amount of money, $4 million, $5 million, whatever it is. And I'm going to call it punitive. I'm probably using the wrong word. Damages of a potential NFL career would be on top of that. But this is a number that Ole Miss is willing to give him 100%. And if you don't give him this eligibility, this money will be lost forever. That's his argument.
Whatever Mars' argument, Charlie, he's doing pretty good.
They
just run the red flag when
he's hitting at a high percentage.
He really is, and again they're waiting. It's delayed because the NCAA asked them to supply more information from Ferris State and about the time. That's what the 91 pages you're talking about, and that's what's delaying this to this point. So he hadn't even gotten to court yet. So he's probably going to now. We're not too far away. But there's no timeline on the NCAA. We all know that.
Yeah. 91 pages seems like a lot to explain a tonsillectomy, but okay.
Don't forget our friends at Legacy Title. Chad Reynolds, Legacy Title for all of your real estate closings, 296-0060. Full-service title companies servicing all of South Louisiana. Ashley Donald, Adrian Galata, Michael Platt, Mariana Haynes, Natalie and Bradford Smith, our great team at Legacy Title, long-standing team that executes your deals seamlessly. Buying, building, refinancing, nobody chooses but you. Choose our friends, Chad Reynolds and Legacy Title, 296-0060.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch. Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Heading out to Las Vegas, deep in the desert, lives one man. One man of many sports bets. The one and only Andy Isco.
Andy, how you doing, my friend?
Gentlemen, I am doing fine, and I bring you both the best regards from Hamilton Burger.
What's that?
That's the DA who continually lost to Perry Mason.
I forgot his name. I forgot his name.
Charlie.
I was listening to that segment, and I kept thinking, the theme song and all that.
Hanny got handied, huh? I mean,
I forgot his name. That's pretty good.
Well done. Black and white, boys.
Yes.
Okay. Black and white.
When WTBS launched, they used to play Perry Mason all the time. That's what I watched when I was a kid.
Oh, my goodness. Andy, what did you think of I like to do this and kind of take some mental notes from moving forward because it's such a tricky handicap for the last week of the NFL season. And I had one of my best weeks of all season. So, I mean, there's some that we faded, like Green Bay, that were going to sit everybody with a game to play, and they were making sure anybody that had any, they're banged up enough. The Chargers weren't going to make the mistake. This coach was not going to make the mistake of the previous coach when they had last week trip to Denver, and we kind of went against them a little bit as well. But then I took a team that showed some pride in a spot like this before. The last time this spot existed for a Dan Campbell team going against Chicago, and they took care of business. And just a few things, but what did you learn from the results or from what we saw on the last week of the NFL season that'll help us in the future for this similar week?
I would be concerned about the San Francisco 49ers and the defense played well. I mean, they only gave up 13 points, but the offense was totally frustrated. I think we saw the importance of some of the key members of the offensive line and how important they are to protect Brock Purdy. And I was surprised, not that the 49ers lost, but the fact that they could manage only 3 points, playing at home on a natural gas surface, which is opposite of what Seattle plays on at home. So I'd be a little bit concerned, especially now them having to go all the way across the country to play Philadelphia, and probably won't be ideal conditions, although San Francisco's used to having bad weather situations, a little bit different, not snow, but winds and rain. So I'd be concerned about the 49ers. I kind of liked what I saw out of the Jaguars and the way that they just took care of business, even though it was a mismatch based upon the point spread and the overall records. They fell behind 7-0, then they scored 41 straight points as far as winning that game pretty easily. And there are a lot of teams in this year's playoffs who don't have a lot of recent playoff experience. The New England Patriots. Nobody is left from their last Super Bowl team. I think they have about 6 or 7 guys who have played in Super Bowls with other franchises. But, you don't have the stalwarts. You don't have the Baltimore. You don't have the Detroit. You don't have the Ravens. 3 teams that were, amongst the top 5 favorites to win the Super Bowl. So it's going to be very interesting. Now, I do a thing at the end of the regular season. I prepare a little like a spreadsheet, taking into account a lot of the key variables that are key factors that I like to use in handicapping games in general, and especially the playoffs. And the top 4 teams that I have rated are not all that much of a surprise to some extent, but perhaps when I mention that it's the Rams, Seattle in the NFC, and Houston and Jacksonville in the AFC, that might come as a surprise. I was surprised how low the Chargers ranked amongst the 7 AFC wildcard teams, and obviously no great surprise that Carolina was far and away the weakest of the National Football Conference teams. So I'll be interested to see how Philadelphia handles the game against San Francisco, because I've been of the thought for a good part of the season they know that they're a really good team, and they'll show up at playoff time.
Well, I want to expound on that and have a follow-up question. But first of all, we saw the loser of this game. The number 1 overall seed or, wild card,
right.
which, your 105 seed. We saw the loser of that game go down in flames the very next week when Minnesota lost 27-9 to the Rams, and Sam Darnold was sacked a record.
Yeah, but keep in mind that game was played in the aftermath of the Los Angeles wildfires. They moved the game to Arizona, so there was a lot of energy, a lot of positive feelings and intensity on the part of the Rams to sort of, hey, we're playing for L.A.
Enough to offset losing some of your home crowd, which is limited to begin with.
Absolutely. A lot of people did make the trip. It's not that far of a drive down to where they played. So I just thought, and Darnold, again, we talked about it before. He just followed up what he did in that division-deciding game against Detroit a week earlier, and my thought was, hey, the guy's had a great season, but maybe that's why he hasn't been a solid starter all year, because he can't play 17 games or 18 games or whatever it is. But I can understand the point you're making, but let's see. It's a different year with, a lot of new teams, a lot of new faces that have to be very excited to be in the tournament.
The quarterback matchups, and I usually get a little bit aggravated to this, but you cannot help but look at these matchups of a lot of these experienced quarterbacks versus very inexperienced quarterbacks, or maybe even first-timers. I mean, Matthew Stafford's been around the block a little bit, and he's had a number of playoff starts, and Bryce Young will be making his first one. Jordan Love's got quite a few starts. Caleb Williams will be making his first one.
Well, so by the way, Stafford's got a Super Bowl.
Of course, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, they're just some of these, and then you've got Herbert's got a few good playoff starts as well. I mean, which one of these quarterbacks is not going to be phased by the lack of experience? Who's going to handle the lack of experience better from this, from this group of inexperienced quarterbacks and coaches?
Well, I guess you could say, how will Aaron Rodgers, obviously at the end of his career, he came up big in the fourth quarter of the game the other night, and I think that was something that was not all that much of a surprise. Wonder how the Chargers are going to do. Their playoff experience has not been good the two times that they made it the last few years with Herbert. But they're going up against a second-year quarterback, possible MVP in Drake May, and Vrabel, who has experience as a coach, in big games when he was with Tennessee. But it's all very much an inexperienced roster. How will the Bears handle things? Ben Johnson, he was with Detroit, but Detroit's never made it to the Super Bowl. He didn't bumble that call with Dan Campbell against the 49ers a couple of years ago. But you wonder how Chicago is going to act in their game against an experienced Green Bay team that has been in the playoffs. Philadelphia and San Francisco, I don't have any concern about either quarterback because they've both been to Super Bowl. So I would say Chicago would be one team I would be a little bit concerned about. I'm curious about the New England Chargers situation because of the Chargers' poor experience in the playoffs and the limited experience. As I mentioned, nobody on the New England roster has been in a Super Bowl with the Patriots. So that one would come to mind. I'm confident about the Rams. I like them a lot as far as that goes. Darnold is a concern. I guess you could say, and again, they only put up 13 points in that game against San Francisco, yet it happened to be good enough to win. So you wonder, do you consider that a good effort from Darnold or a fortunate effort for Darnold that the defense played like that defense showed it could all year? Houston against Pittsburgh. I mentioned Rodgers. Well, C.J. Stroud's been in the playoffs now all three of his seasons, and he doesn't have to do all that much because of the great defense that they have. So a lot of intriguing storylines. I've not yet decided which way I'm going to go, although looking at the Steelers plus about 4.5 with that experience and their primetime experience might be a way to look at a game that maybe Houston wins, but maybe it ends up being a game where the points come into play.
I think Seattle will take what they got out of Darnold in San Francisco every time, 20 of 26 for 198 yards, but more importantly, no TD. I mean, no interceptions.
Yeah.
No interceptions. Yeah. I mean, they don't want him to be. The defense seems like they're catching some momentum. Coming down the stretch. Now, you got that outlier on Thursday night where Stafford and the Rams torched them. I mean, they couldn't stop a nosebleed that night. But 7.5 yards attempt, no interceptions. I think they'll take that out of Darnold. Charlie?
Yeah.
I mean, are they going to wrap him up a little bit more?
When you think about how he finished last season, they will take that every time.
They have to. And in one of those games against St. Louis this year, now he bounced back because he had to make some plays. Shahi got him going with the punt return touchdown, but he had to make some plays, some 2-point conversions, one lucky, but one, with the game on the line, at the end. So he was forced to him because they couldn't take a tie, but still it got him over a little mental hump. Just a little,
And the other thing is, you can opine on this if you want. I think Seattle's defense this year is better than Minnesota's defense was a year ago. He's got that to fall back on. Minnesota was good defensively a year ago. I think Seattle is a little bit better.
The loser here was an underdog last year. Minnesota, loser of the first seed game. Minnesota was a 2.5-point favorite against Los Angeles. This time, the Eagles will be 4. So no picks on these early games before we let you go. Of course, we'll have you on Sunday to talk about those 4 games remaining.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning to Philadelphia over the 49ers. Again, we didn't know what to. And look, the Eagles easily could have won with all the players that they had sitting anyway until the fourth quarter came by and Washington scored. But it was a meaningless game. And look, it didn't hurt last year when they rested everybody in the meaningless game, even though it cost Barkley the chance at the record. I think that he had the right attitude as far as that goes, and they were rewarded by making it 2 and winning the Super Bowl in one of the more impressive Super Bowl wins that we've seen in recent years. So I think the Eagles will be able to take care of that number, probably win 7 to 10 points in that game. Not totally sure. Again, I am looking towards taking the points right now with Pittsburgh rather on Monday night, but I haven't really begun to break down everything the way that I'm going to break down. It's always uncomfortable to lay points on the road, especially big a number with the Rams. But even the fact that Carolina couldn't win the game that would have clinched the playoff berth is a little troubling going against the Tampa Bay team that had not been playing very well. So maybe, I don't know if I will lay the 10 points with the Rams. Maybe I'll wait and hope they fall behind a little bit and get a better number, maybe in the first quarter if they're down 3-0 or 7-0.
All right, so Rams, Panthers, and Packers, Bears before we talk to you, but we will get your opinion on the remaining 4 on Sunday, Football Sunday, which originates from Caesar Sportsbook in downtown New Orleans this Sunday. We do the shows through the end of the month. We're going to take Super Bowl off this season. Follow Andy on Twitter at VegasAndy711. Great stuff, Andy. We'll talk to you Sunday.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the week.
Yes, indeed. Don't forget our friends at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. If your homeowners association requires wood windows like mine does, don't make the mistake like I did and get the original construction using someone else besides Relief Windows. Call 288-8138, 288-8138, and get those windows. You got vinyl windows, storm impact windows, but wood windows, and that's where the ones that I had to get. Mine wet damage, the extreme South Louisiana weather conditions, they're going to wear them out, man. So get the R-Last Gel wood windows that come with a 20-year general warranty and a lifetime limited warranty against rot and termites, providing you years of beauty, minimal maintenance. They look good, they're functional, and they last. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, 288-8138.
Live at Doe's Live at Lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Of course, Andy Isco was our proxy for the Circus Survivor, which wrapped up on Sunday. 6 entries went in.
We didn't win?
We did not win. 6 entries went in for $18,700,000 and change, and 5 entries survived. So they split the pot, $3.7 million and change apiece. Jimmy, 2 of them had the Vikings, very easy over the Packers. One of them had the Jaguars, very easy over the Titans.
Yeah, that was the best pick.
One of them had the Falcons, a little bit of a sweat there at the end against the Saints.
Hell yeah.
And one of them had the Bengals and lost on the last play of the game
plays,
to the Browns.
Man. Defensive scores.
They're calling the Bengals the team of death the past 2 years in the Circus Survivor.
Yeah, multiple weeks this week and last year as well.
Yeah. So 5 of them able to get home. First class, second class, no class when we return at Doe's Eat Place, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at Lunch, First Class.
I want a seat in first class where I was booked and ticketed over a month ago.
Second Class.
No man should be subjected to the indignity of being labeled or treated like a second-class citizen.
And no class.
Life had become like school on Sunday. No class.
I'll tell you what then. Why don't you call me sometime when you have no class?
First Class, Second Class, and No Class. Brought to you by Supreme Rice. Buy local with Louisiana-based Supreme Rice since 1936.
And return here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Come on by and see us for lunch. We are in the Crown Town room. All right, first class, second class, no class. First class, we start off with this. Yesterday, I took the day off and went up to witness the opening of the facility in Leesville, Louisiana, for Brothers and Sisters in Arms. Our foundation at Red, White, and Blue that is now going into our 7th year, picked Brothers and Sisters in Arms as the military charity that we wanted to support. These fundraisers that we've been doing going back into 2019, Jimmy, you were part of the very first one. And Brothers and Sisters in Arms does what we think is extraordinary work with service dogs that are paired with ex-military personnel. And these service dogs are trained. Actually, they train the veterans to train the dogs themselves. And these service dogs are absolutely irreplaceable for veterans suffering from PTSD, from depression. They play a huge, huge role. And in learning how to actually train the dogs, the veterans form that bond with them, and it's an extensive training. I'll tell you about it in a second. But I met a absolutely fantastic man yesterday named Philip Ruddock. Philip Ruddock is a military veteran that founded Brothers and Sisters in Arms back in 2009. Philip Ruddock did 6 tours in Iraq. His job in Iraq was to defuse IEDs, improvised explosive devices. In layman's terms, this guy went out and defused bombs every day. And he shared with us some of the stories. This man showed us his battle wounds. He showed us the bullet wounds in his arms. He showed us the extensive scarring in his midsection when an IED exploded. He said, the next thing I knew, I woke up in a hospital in Germany. He had spent extensive time in a coma. When he came back, working with other veterans and through the VA, he found that there was some gaps in what the VA was able to provide as far as emotional support for PTSD and depression. And so he remembered his training back pre-deployment that he received in South Dakota, training service dogs. So Philip Ruddock, who does not live in Leesville, in fact does not live anywhere close to Leesville, started Brothers and Sisters in Arms, training service dogs wherever they could find room. And the reason that they picked Leesville is because of its proximity to Fort Polk and the veterans that were around Fort Polk that needed this help. They trained in parking lots. They trained in vacant fields. They trained in mud. They basically trained wherever they could find room. To train a service dog takes approximately 240 hours. And it's not 240 hours that you can accomplish in a short period of time. It's 240 hours that is spread out over a long period of time. Because when you're starting to work with a puppy, well, the puppy's attention span is not all that long. So some of these early training sessions, as they were explaining to us, are 15 minutes, maybe sometimes up to 30 minutes as you continue to work up. A lot of these service dogs don't become fully certified for 2 years. So it's tedious training. It requires a lot of patience. It requires a lot of expertise. And Philip Ruddock, who was recruiting other veterans to be trainers that are now with Brothers and Sisters in Arms, has worked with this organization for now going into their 16th year, and they've trained close to approximately 1,000 service dogs. Yesterday, they were able to open their facility for the first time. It is not a gigantic facility. It is not what you would call an elaborate facility. It is what they need to train these dogs. It is a flat area on the outside where they're able to take shelter from the heat or the rain. It's got an inside rec room where they're able to work with the dogs inside. It allows them to store their equipment. They have an on-site bathroom, which is one of the things that, when you're out training in a vacant field for, long periods of time, what they were able to accomplish without these facilities was extraordinary, and we wish them nothing but the best moving forward now that they have this facility. And the best part of all of this is it comes at no cost to the veterans. Philip Ruddock has changed a lot of lives and made a lot of sacrifices, and I was blown away with his story. And I think that his first class goes without saying, but also to all of the people that work at Brothers and Sisters in Arms, working with our veterans who are still fighting a lot of battles when they come back. And many of them yesterday came back for the grand opening with their service dogs, and their stories are inspiring. They'll continue to do great work. We know it. We were happy, delighted, couldn't have been prouder at Red, White, and Blue to fund their effort, and the best going forward. Philip Ruddock, Brothers and Sisters in Arms, you guys are absolutely first class. Yesterday was an emotional day, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. It was really moving.
When I went to some of the benefits and things like that, participated, and that was a part of it, to meet some of the people and hear their stories, and still just instill their commitment.
Yeah.
Into their and no regrets.
This guy went back 6 times.
Yeah, some people can just really just have a lot of bitterness, and that wasn't, at least in those gatherings, that was not the case. Good job, Charlie.
Yeah. Second class. Now, by the time we got back last night, I only got a chance to see the end of this game, but I know you guys watched it. This was one of Randy McKay's picks on the FCS title game between Montana State and Illinois State, and this thing went to overtime. Montana State won in overtime, 35-34. So I was kind of monitoring the score as we were driving back, but fill me in, because this looked like it was a hell of a game last night.
Started out, the favorite was just out the chutes pretty quickly. Illinois State, they did not. I think they fell behind. They had to punt. They had to punt there first, and they got a few first downs, and then punt. And then Montana State was just winging it, and and they had about 2-1 fans there. I mean, the crowd was into. You could hear the crowd noise when they would do something, and they would just lighten it up. Boom, 7-0, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 plays, 75 yards. They get the ball again. Boom, 14-0. And then Illinois State, they score. And then it was 21-7, Charlie. And they scored, and it's part of the deal. Do you try not to score too quickly? You trying to leave it? Well, they didn't. They milked it down to about a minute, and then they scored, and it's kind of, they had 2 timeouts, and right at a minute left to go, 21-7. Montana State takes it, 21-14. Montana State takes it 3 plays. They had 2 timeouts left. They don't use any of them. They made sure that their completions were past the sticks to stop the clock, to spot the ball. They spotted the ball. It was 3 or 4 seconds max, and they were snapping it again, and boom, boom, boom. They went down the field in maybe 35, 40 seconds, no timeouts. That is important, because at the end, in the second half, all of a sudden, Montana State was more protecting lead, and for whatever reason, they were not freewheeling and just high flying. Illinois State was getting stops. And the little quarterback who we talked about, who got hot, and they had to win all these games on the road, Hammond, North Dakota State, Cal Davis, all over the place. He was unstoppable. And he's a guy that runs so close to the line and does true RPO, where he's really good at throwing it with like one leg past the line and one leg not, where you have to commit. And to do that, you're leaving yourself up to some hits. And the guy just took over, and he was unstoppable. My point is, all of the momentum Illinois State's way. They tie it up. They got the ball. And here they come. And they're kind of milking clock in the end. And they get it to about the 35-yard line, and they just kind of run it up the gut a couple of times, because they're forcing Montana State to use their timeouts. They use 1 or 2, Max. I think they use 1, because when they got down to a 4th and 1 from about the 10 or 11, they what's name did not use a timeout. They
got
let
to
it
the 21.
What's that?
This
the
was
20
at the 21 of Montana.
The 21. They were having problems with their place kicking. Max 7 block kicks this
when
year.
all was said and done, they got 7 kicks blocked.
7 kicks blocked. Change kicker, the whole bit. And so you already saw the Montana State, same situation, take the ball and could score a touchdown when all they would need was a field goal. And so the coach thought about it. He decided to attempt the field goal. Guy comes off the edge, blocks it cleanly. They scoop it and almost run it back for a touchdown. They stopped and went to overtime. But the quarterback would have F and go for it. I mean, he was pissed.
Yeah.
You took the ball out of his hands.
Yeah.
You took the ball out of his hands. So then they come back and score a touchdown. What happens on the extra point? They miss the extra point. They had the possession
Blocked
first.
again. Yeah.
So they had to, Montana State gets a big chunk of yards first. Then they get an illegal procedure. Then they get a no gain. Then it's a 4th and 10. And what do? You bring the house. You sit in zone. They brought the house. An experienced quarterback was an easy read for him to his best receiver, Taco Dalton or whatever. And he made the throw look a lot easier than it actually is. But the timing was an easy throw and catch. They kicked the extra point. Thanks for shopping. Horrible way to lose a game for Illinois State. I mean, brutal. Because they just run off and won by 2 touchdowns. Okay. And they were 10.5-point favorites in the championship game for a reason. I mean, a number 2 seed versus an unseeded team.
Illinois State went all through the playoffs on the road. They started in the first round in Hammond. They lost their last game of the regular season by 30 points. This was the Cinderella team, and they outgained Montana State by 90 yards. Every drive that didn't get ended by the first half went at least 25 yards. They moved the ball on this Montana State team. It was a very good performance. The receivers were outstanding. The passing game, as you mentioned, their quarterback for the Redbirds was great. These are games that we beg for in the summer when we're ready for football. This was good football. I know it's the FCS, but kudos to them. They moved this game to Monday. It used to be on Sunday. And
that was a very good idea.
It'd get hidden.
No Monday Night Football.
I know it goes from ABC to ESPN, but I am intrigued. I want to watch more FCS. Remember, Jimmy, week 0, we watched Nichols in their first game. Like, FCS, it can be watchable football when it's close and a lot's on the line. In this case, it was a really thrilling game. I was excited I watched it.
Montana State lost their season opener at Oregon. Okay, you're outmanned there. They lost the following week in double overtime against South Dakota State. They didn't lose again after that, 14-2.
I think that every drive was a touchdown in the second half.
Yes, until the missed field goal.
Until the missed field goal.
And
that's why, Charlie, they had to average 10 yards a play the second half. I mean, it was very little resistance. And game flow, also seeing what you had, which would have been a very tough, and the quality of your kicker.
Right.
All that. Osweiler, no class, bro. He was awful handling this. Awful. I mean, he's telling you how, man, you got to take a lead here with 1 minute to go in a championship game. Instead of talking about game flow, talking about the kicking situation, talking about the team. He's in the damn press box. He just saw the team go 75 yards in 45 seconds with no timeouts and score a touchdown before half. He just saw that. But tell him why it makes it a tough decision. To me, we talk about this a lot. I said it at the time. I can't give them guys any timeout, and I can't take the ball out this kid's hands. And he did.
Terrific game last night between Montana State and Illinois State. All right, no class. No class goes to Walker Jones. Who's Walker Jones? Walker Jones is the director of the Ole Miss NIL Collective, who alleged last week that there would be tampering allegations on LSU coaches, tampering with Ole Miss players. Quote, "It's unfortunate what's been going on with our players and their former head coach and staff, having to deal with the pressure of making future decisions while trying to prepare for a playoff run is not a sustainable model. Yes, a bad calendar and a lack of true oversight hurt, but so does poor character and a lack of respect for your former employer and players. That being said, we're prepared and effectively dealing with this complicated first-of-its-kind situation." Mr. Jones, never mind the fact that Trinidad Chambliss, Kejuan Lacey, and Lucas Cornero, the all-everything kicker, have already recommitted to Ole Miss. And never mind the fact that 2 former LSU staffers are now in your building who were in the LSU building when they knew they were going to Ole Miss for quite a while. And Carius Kern has become the first player to move either from Ole Miss to LSU or vice versa. And he signed this morning. And never mind the fact that LSU has been pretty gracious in allowing these guys to help out with the most significant run in Ole Miss modern-day history. But I got a very simple solution for this, Mr. Jones. If you have any problem with anything that any of the LSU coaches are doing in the Ole Miss building right now, I got a very simple solution for you. Send them back and shut your mouth. Okay, I'm done. First Class, Second Class, No Class is brought to you by Supreme Rice and SupremeRice.com down in Crowley, Louisiana, southwest Louisiana since the 1930s. They're part of the Climate Smart program, which, of course, is taking care of future generations of Louisiana farmers, water conservation, reducing methane emissions. That's what they are about there. You can get Supreme Rice wherever you buy rice, your AG food stores, your Rouse's, your Walmarts, brown, long grain, medium grain, jasmine, parboiled rice, the low glycemic rice for diabetics. Pick it up. Save a little bit of money and get a delicious product with Supreme Rice, like on Monday night at the Yacht Household.
Yes, indeed. I got to bring Dustin his quarts of red beans that I cook with the sausage over to his house. But yeah, the parboiled rice is outstanding, man. Big hit during the holiday season. I don't know what I'd be doing without him. Went to Big Earl's on New Year's Day to watch the games.
Yeah.
I'm eating some etouffee. I'm like, this is parboiled rice.
Yeah.
This is Supreme Rice.
I had some of that myself, yeah.
He's like, you're right. You're right. So, yes, indeed. Supreme Rice, man. You got to check it out wherever you get all the rice in pretty much every area grocery store. Here's what our boy Gittenhouse did for Illinois State the second half. 85 yards TD, 81 yards TD, 60 yards TD. 55 yards on the 4th and 1. They attempt the block field goal, and then 25 yards in a TD before the missed extra point or the blocked extra point in overtime. Was not stopped.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
And we're also brought to you by Louisiana Health and Injury Centers, helping you deal with pain. Dr. Michael Goff and his staff really helped our family out over the years. So if you got back pain, neck pain, muscle soreness, you need a little bit of help, let them do for you what they've done for us, which is get you into a program that, maybe some exercise and stretching and a little bit of an adjustment will work. But if you do need a dry needling or electric nerve stimulation, cryo, ultrasound therapy, they can help you out. I can attest to it myself. Airline Highway, Plank Road, Jefferson Highway near Drusilla, Dr. Michael Goff, Louisiana Health and Injury Centers. Sunday and Monday, we fired coaches in the NFL. Now that it's Tuesday, we're down to firing coordinators. Matt Eberflus out in Dallas, and now Cliff Kingsbury is out in Washington, along with Joe Witt Jr., who was a defensive coordinator in Washington. And just a year ago, Cliff Kingsbury, off of the heels of that great season by Jaden Daniels, was being mentioned for some potential head coaching possibilities. He decided to stay in Washington. They're saying that they mutually agreed to part ways. That's polite, but almost never true. So I'm not sure where Kingsbury is going to end up. But my question to you guys is, there's 6 openings in the NFL. The Cardinals, the Falcons, the Browns. Max, you must have had a day yesterday. Raiders, Giants, Titans. If you had your choice, which job is the best job available right now?
Part of it is working for an owner. I think this, from what I'm hearing out of New York, as far as Shane is concerned, the GM, he survives because Mara is dealing with cancer, and they got other things to worry about, and they're not looking to make any more changes than they already have. He's a well liked owner in that sort of that community and just in that area. And so even to the point where a lot of media people who really will not hesitate in that area to throw hatchets around pretty good, well, they kind of take a pause when they talk about Mara first. And we know that, Charlie, for years.
The Mara family
has they handle their business from what we understand pretty, in a classy manner. You got to think Murray's done in Arizona.
Yes.
He's not going to get a third coach fired, is he? I mean,
no, they pretty much made that call in November.
The Raiders and Tennessee are interesting because I think they're going to be very similar, very light in roster. But I mean, Ward finished decent.
I would feel okay
steady.
I would feel good about him if I were Tennessee fans.
Do you feel better about Mendoza or Moore ahead of Ward?
Well,
because that's going to decide which because I think they're poorly run operations.
Yeah.
But you got your young quarterback.
Right.
Now you had a little bit of a sneak preview with Cam Ward. But do you like Mendoza or Moore better? And more I think Moore is going to come out.
Yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more like that. Mendoza's got this going for him. He's got one elite weapon there in Brock Bowers, and one, I think, potentially high upside guy in there, Ashton Genty. I don't think that Tennessee has a weapon that is comparable to either, certainly not to Bowers, and probably not to Genty either. The one player, when I looked at this, the one player that to me is the biggest pivot point in what I would pick is Michael Penix, because the Falcons had the best record out of all these teams, so at least on paper, they are the closest to winning. They have some elite offensive weapons. Bijan Robinson is probably the best running back in the game, and Drake London, I think, is a top 10 receiver. They spent a lot of money and a lot of draft capital on the pass rush last year. So if Penix is good,
the most talented Atlanta.
Yeah,
no, I mean we're not going to.
That's if Penix is good now.
The rookie defender too had a very good year. From Tennessee.
Yeah, Pierce.
They
and Arthur Blank's fine to work for.
It's funny. Yeah,
and you're going to get a new GM, so you get to come in fresh with that. If Penix is good, I think this is the job. But I don't know if Penix is good.
Penix healthy.
That too.
Whoa. Who's been hurt more than him?
Good healthy.
Who's been hurt more than him in the last 5 years? Who? Joe Burrow?
Well, part of the time Burrow's been in the NFL and Penix was still in college. But, I mean, I get what you're saying. This is the third ACL in 6 years, I think. And they're talking about reworking Kirk Cousins' deal to bring him back. But if Kirk Cousins has to start 17 games next year, the Falcons are a playoff team. I don't know.
You can win the South with that. You won the South with an 8-9 record this year.
They reworked his deal. They're going to decide his future coming up in the spring.
Right. So they're waiting to see what Penix's knee looks like.
I would rule out the Raiders. I don't like their situation. And look at their division. You got to look at divisions on these sometimes, right? I mean, that's a much tougher division than the NFC South and where the AFC South, where Tennessee's. I'd take the Titans. They've got a little more cap space than most of these teams do, and I kind of like what I saw at Cam Ward. But I think Atlanta's right there with them. I would not want to go to Cleveland, Arizona, cheap owner. I'm out. Raiders, I know they might get the first pick, but no, I'm out and the Giants too.
You're out on Cleveland. You spend a lot of time producing radio shows and podcasts in Cleveland. They don't have a quarterback or a path to one unless they still got to pay Deshaun Watson next year. Are they going to go into the first week of the season next year with Deshaun Watson?
They're talking about bringing him back, Charlie. Yeah. That's how lost they are.
Well, they got to pay him anyway.
But
the expectation is they're going to bring him back. You got Shador, who didn't show you enough really to have confidence in him.
Look.
And they're in a bad cap space. They have bad ownership. They're bad all around. We'll see who they hire as their head coach.
Charlie, Denver had to pay Russell Wilson. Get out of here.
They're still paying him this year.
Okay, but get out of here.
Yeah. Oh, I would.
Watson needs to go.
Yes, get out of my building.
Watson needs to go.
Get out of my building.
If you, especially with this fan base, you're asking for a really ugly scene. It's already ugly to cheer him when he's laid on the ground, torn his ACL or his Achilles.
So
it's just no.
Your choices are Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel. If you want to go the free agent market, I don't even know if that's possible to go after a Kyler Murray.
Max, you're saying you're looking at divisions for the easiest path?
Just partially.
What is it? It's Atlanta then.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that's one of the things you have to look at. And Tennessee, I would.
That's why you're voting against the Raiders, because they're
I'm out on the Raiders.
Okay,
and I don't know if they're going to get the quarterback situation
right.
Yeah,
Harbaugh is going. If Harbaugh comes healthy, I mean, he band-aided this team to the playoffs this year.
Another thing,
if he don't, he lost both his tackles to start the year. Who needs his tackles more than him? I mean, so he's coming. Okay, Peyton, their record's probably a little better than it should be, but he's there. I mean, he's already done the toughest part with Bo Nix. I don't think they're going to go backwards on him. We all think he has a ceiling, but he should be. He's paid his dues with starting him the first couple of years. So the AFC West is brutal, and Mahomes is still around. But Atlanta's got. It's funny watching other people when I watch them on Monday night and see them beat both the Bills and the Rams handily. And that was two of their better games. But that was not the same team that played Sunday against the Saints. I mean, a Saints JV. Your rookie quarterback in a JV, basically.
All your skill position guys were going.
It was a few linemen, too. I mean, you were beyond limited. Nobody went to a game with the limited weapons that they had. And Atlanta almost lost. If they don't block the punt, they might lose. And that's just so you don't. What is wrong with it? So you get a Sean Payton or somebody like that. I think you get a real good coach. Man, Atlanta's got a chance.
Pre-coaching hire and pre-draft, who's the favorite to win the NFC South next year? Before we know who the coach is.
Right now,
I think it's still Tampa
Bay.
But I think it's close. Right?
Well, they've won 3 and they just tied for another.
The closest gap between first and fourth in a division going into next year is the
South. That's the numbers.
Yeah.
That's data.
So,
and the Saints figured to be improved a little bit. Huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Carolina's going to be your defending champion. Tampa will be the favorite. The Saints in the second half of the season
it doesn't catch your attention that they finished on a 4-game winning streak and fired their coach? I understand his mind was made up, but is that just another sign of even though my mind's made up, what good is me to bring in an interim coach? We're just going to ride this out, and we're going to reserve judgment to, fire the coach at the end of the year. I think the Giants do that as well. Or no, they didn't this year. But who else does it? Jerry Jones, of all people. He usually doesn't step in the middle of the season.
You're right. He let Jimmy Johnson win the Super Bowl before he fired him.
Another thing, so Arizona keeping their GM, he probably doesn't have much time left. Andrew Berry stays in the Browns. I know he had a good draft outside the quarterbacks this year, but he's probably gone pretty soon. Tennessee just got a new GM, so he's got a little more power, and they're getting a new stadium
out.
soon. Yeah, he's been out, so they've got a new guy in. For what it's worth, you mentioned the Saints. We always talk about that one team that loses the division, comes in fourth, finishes first. There's normally one of those each year. Saints are certainly going to be a favorite for this, but Teron Armstead on his podcast yesterday cited Robert Hunt, a guard for the Panthers this year, who texted him and said, "Man, I just got out of Josh Allen's division, and now I got to deal with Tyler Shuck." Mad respect from a guy who played him this year to say that basically, oh man, this guy could be a problem in our division going forward.
I'm as happy about Tyler Shuck as anybody, but I'm not putting him in the same sentence as Josh Allen. But okay,
that's dumb.
That's
just dumb.
You respect the guy; he's an NFL player, but that's a bit much.
They're completely different quarterbacks. Allen is so much more run design plays. How many touchdowns running is he going to have in his career? How many Shuck? That's not what Shuck wants to do. That's not what makes Shuck good. Can he when he does? But his commitment to the pocket gives you reason to build and develop. He's developed over the course of the season. He's throwing to nobody. And how many drop balls did he have on Sunday? I mean, throwing to nobody, putting the ball where it only can be. He's so much different than Josh Allen, but it's got so far to go. Can we just win one game? What a team that would have won a record? Just one?
One more thing about a coach that did. Let me give you this one about a coach that didn't get fired. This is your favorite coach in the league, Zach Taylor. Didn't get fired in Cincinnati. I want to ask you this: if Mike Brown didn't own the Bengals and all other 30 of the other 31 owners in the league, including Green Bay, how many of them would have fired Zach Taylor this year?
Well, Joe decided not to. Joe Burrow, the GM.
I don't think this one was Joe, and I'm going to tell you why. Because,
well, guess what?
No, here's
okay.
why.
Go ahead.
Because Zach Taylor has 2 years left on his contract, and Mike Brown didn't want to buy him out. Because that's what Mike Brown does. They don't buy out coaches over there unless they absolutely have no choice. And they apparently feel like they have a choice. It's not known whether both years are guaranteed on his deal, but at least 26 is. And he's got a year in 27 that may or may not be guaranteed. There's been conflicting reports there. But I think at least half of the other owners in the league would have fired Zach Taylor. And Mike Brown ain't one of them. And that number may even be higher. That's just me.
Diana Rossini did report that both Burrow and Chase gave significant
Burrow
support.
went to bat again, Charlie, unwarranted. And it went out of his way in animated defense and endorsement of his coach. He is still the GM. What's funny is because the GM has been there for how long?
They don't have a GM. I'm not joking.
Duke Tobin.
They don't
Duke
have a
Tobin
GM. He's
is
got
director of
title.
player personnel.
Yeah, he's like the de facto.
De facto general manager of the Cincinnati Bengals and has been there for how long?
11 years?
I think it's 23.
Is it 23?
1999.
Okay, 26.
Wow, he's got time on Loomis.
That's my point.
Yeah, because they don't fire guys. They don't
okay,
no,
they're notoriously cheap.
Yeah.
But when you have a weak organization, your franchise players' opinions matter more. I love Joe Burrow, the quarterback. I do not like Joe Burrow. The Joe Burrow general manager is counterproductive. And it's not. It's whether you're picking your protection, your weapons over your protection to your coach, who obviously is.
I can't downplay Joe Burrow's influence on everything that happens in that organization. It's there, but I think if Taylor's contract would have ran out,
for
they would have fired him.
For some reason, on your ride yesterday, you got your mind made up. You're wrong on this one. Just it's okay. Joe Burrow's words mean more than anything in that organization, and you know that. And he went out of his way. As soon as they lost that game, he was animated and in defense and support of his coach.
You think if Joe Burrow would have said to fire him, they would have fired him?
Yes.
Mike Brown don't swallow contracts. Hardly ever.
Charlie, the value of his organization isn't increased enough to where he can fire Zach Taylor. Okay, he doesn't do it. But he does it more than, 2 years ain't nothing like these other guys are biting off. It's not even comparison.
You're right.
And if
he's had enough money to build a practice facility and hire a GM too, and he hadn't done that. So, look, there's probably a little bit to each.
You telling me you're downplaying Joe Burrow's, a guy that's clearly his head's on the chopping block. You downplaying Joe Burrow's impact on this decision.
I'm upplaying Mike Brown's cheapness, and Joe Burrow might have known they weren't going to fire him anyway.
When you taking another day off?
Tomorrow, if you love me.
Damn, son. Okay. Next.
Read your commercial.
Don't forget our friends at K&M Automotive, the only place I take my vehicle. Jason Payne on Segan Lane, 8445 Segan Lane at the, just off of Perkins Road, across the street from Ambrosia Bakery. We're not trained mechanics. We don't know if that engine light comes on, what to do. So that's why you bring it to our friends over at K&M Automotive. K&M Automotive, 8445 Segan Lane, open 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. And he's going to try and find you a less expensive repair option before a more expensive replace option. Both Charlie, myself, all of us, my son, a lot of people that I know bring their vehicles to K&M Automotive. Do it as well. Go see Jason Payne. Going to give you an honest shake at K&M Automotive on Segan, just off of Perkins.
Live at Doe's, live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Lane Kiffin and staff picking up another player out of the transfer portal, defensive lineman Stefan Green from Clemson. Let's see what we can tell you about Stefan Green. 24 career games, 6 starts between 23 and 25, 42 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 603 defensive snaps. Last year for Clemson, he played in 10 games, 18 tackles, 2.5 for loss, and 2.5 sacks. That brings the total up to 6 of portal commitments for LSU, and we still got a long way to go, obviously, but they're up to 6 now. And Sam Leavitt is there today. I don't know when that meeting is going to finish, but again, it seems to be trending that LSU is moving in the direction that they're going to get Sam Leavitt before the end of the day today. Again, things could always change, but that's the way it looked when we started this morning, and I haven't heard anything to the contrary since then.
All right, we were talking about the Allen Shuck thing that kind of threw me sideways for that. That was year 2, his second year in 2019 season, where they made it to the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills. Keep in mind, he took over a rough roster. That was not a good team. That was a team that was losing a lot for a pretty good stretch.
Oh yeah, they had.
Yeah, I mean, one of the worst situations to take over.
Kyle Williams' last game was the first time they had made the playoffs since he'd been there, and he was there, 12 years?
And so the second year, it was January 4th of 2020, that 22-19 Texans win over Buffalo in Houston in the wild card round. That was when Allen was going backwards and just flipping the ball around. You're doing like Caleb Williams / Shador Sanders kind of stuff. You're just running straight backwards and making a bad situation worse. And it was just a wild, just bizarre game. And Watson even kind of gave up on his pass and became a runner in that game as well. And we know he was way more of a developed passer coming out of Clemson than what Allen was out of Wyoming. But
so if we're going to compare Shuck to Allen, we got to compare him in the comparable points in the
I can't
career.
think of two guys that's so different stylistically. And a guy that, okay, well, this guy's such a super athlete. And I remember, like Aaron Donald, he shook him off one time when he was on, he was so strong. He's so different. He could do, and we just got to fine tune this thing and kind of, polish him up, And Daboll gets a lot of credit because his accuracy numbers went up a lot. His accuracy, period, your eyeballs. And Shuck tells me his reason for the future is completely the opposite. He can move a little bit. That's fine. But that's not where he's making his living. He's very comfortable in the pocket with limited protection and limited weapons. And we've seen better and better. His timing is so much better. His accuracy, his decisions, his pre-snap reads, a lot of things are advanced for a quarterback this system as opposed to this just running around. He's a throwback to me because there's such an emphasis on athleticism, and then we'll try and make you a passer. It's just kind of the opposite for him.
He's faster than I thought he was.
The comparison I'll talk to right now, and he's one of the best. And we love him. One of the best quarterbacks right now. Who's stylistically reminds you of right now?
Shuck.
He can move, but he doesn't make his living from the pocket. Take a top 5 quarterback in the league, Charlie.
Burrow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can Burrow move?
Yes, he can.
Yes. But does he want to make a living at it?
No.
No, that's not where he makes his living.
And Chuck is just faster than I thought he was, which is fine.
He's got a ways to go, and that is but stylistically in what I see early. That's the reason his continued growth. He's far from where Burrow is. But Burrow's rookie year, how many starts did he have?
Oh, before he got smacked in the knee,
7,
probably
8.
Yeah. But
how many Chuck have? 9? Yeah, 9.
He's 5-4. There's nothing that I don't like about the future of Shuck, but it is.
But
good
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's good that you go back to the second year of Josh Allen. We do this all the time and make comparisons.
Right, and that's what so threw me off. Because this player's talking about Josh Allen. He just got Josh Allen 6 years in.
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen 6 years in and his rookie
he didn't look
completely
like that.
different.
The knock on him coming out of Wyoming was that he wasn't an accurate quarterback. I think he was 56% or something like that.
I think the Carolina game too. The first one, he caught him off guard. He hit the bomb early, and it kind of just managed the game and didn't beat him. Okay, and the defense won that game. He hit the bomb early. The second one, he had scoring drives with the game on the line and some long ones and made plays, and they kind of had to. They kind of left that one. They had that one won too. Fourth quarter double-digit lead again in Carolina at the Saints.
Did they have a double-digit lead?
Field goal, touchdown field goal, fourth quarter, right?
Maybe
they
so.
were down in that game, but
yeah.
Shuck's running frequency reminds me a little bit more of Lawrence than Burrow. He runs a little bit more than Burrow.
Well, the thing with Lawrence this year is they're giving him more design runs. He's got non-rushing touchdowns. That's a lot. That's a lot. He ain't built like it, and he doesn't have. He got too many injuries in his path. You don't need to do. Burrow doesn't need to be running. Shuck don't need to be running. Period. That's not. They're not going to help you be because both are fragile, not fragile, injury prone, whatever you want to say. If you're going to tell me that Joe Burrow doesn't have a history of injury,
no broken bone injuries for Shuck, I don't think that's that injury prone. But
okay.
I disagree. But
how much time do they miss because of injuries?
Burrow definitely is injury prone, no doubt.
How much has Shuck missed?
He missed a couple half seasons.
Yeah, that's more than most in college.
Here at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street in Mid-City. Back to wrap it up here live at lunch, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Live at lunch with Ott and Hanny from Doe's Eat Place on Government Street on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LSU back in action tonight in Baton Rouge against South Carolina. They'll be without De'Don Thomas again. Max, South Carolina not very good, right?
Their best win was an overtime win in Game 2. They beat Southern Miss in overtime. That's a team that LSU played and won by nearly 30 points. They have one of the worst schedules in all of college basketball, 344 out of 365 teams. They have lost to every competent team they played. They're 9-5 this year.
Yeah, don't lose this one.
Even without Thomas, I agree. You got to win this one.
Don't lose this
one. Their best performance was at Clemson. Lost by 7, and we're very much in that. That's the toughest team at the toughest place, and they were in that game. Clemson's a top 35 NET team.
That is tonight at the PMAC.
You can't lose. You're not getting an easier game opponent at home than this.
Oh, they were picked to finish 16th.
They were picked to finish 16th.
Yeah.
They scheduled like it.
You're in Nashville Saturday. That's a real opponent.
Thanks to our friends here at Doe's Eat Place. Come on by and see us for lunch here in the Crown Town Room today. And
Charlie.
Okay,
go ahead.
Thanks.
We're here every other Tuesday. We'll be at Snow's tomorrow and Wednesday. Airline Highway at Highway 74 in Gonzales.
Stay tuned for Hunt on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.